Oh, right. I'm Aviva, the founder of Integral HR and AvivaWordy.com. I find it fun to ask what, why, and what are the big kids doing? And then share my practical recommendations based off of what we're trying to do here, which is nurture our companies under 50 employees. Welcome to the wonderful world of HR. Let's get to it. Why standards matter. For companies under 50 employees, right, benefits do matter. When you start hiring outside of, let's say, your local community, candidates are coming from places that already have health insurance, and they will, if you haven't experienced this yet, start turning you down if you don't have health insurance. Okay, so solely on the fact of what your plan looks like or whether you have it or not, they're going to say yes or no to your job. This happened to me recently, and it's just quite a bum. Okay, there are four types of insurance: health and wellness, financial and retirement, time off and leave, and then work life balance. Today, what I'm going to cover is the health and wellness topic, and specifically under medical insurance coverage. The point of view that I'm taking here is that there are standards already created in the job market, right? We're not all coming out of a hole like, welcome to this job market. We look around, people are talking about benefits, they're talking about health insurance. So there are standards already created, which is expectations that employees and employers are coming to the table with together. So by understanding these standards, you can think through your current offering. And then with that in mind, you can ask the question, what can I do differently to attract and keep my employees? I want to just emphasize attract and keep my employees. So health insurance is both a attraction, so how do I hire, and a retention strategy for your employees. To put this in context in numbers, ran a survey. Okay, SHRM is the Society of Human Resources. They ran a survey and the results were this. So 90% of the survey respondents said healthcare is extremely or very important to them. Okay. 60% of them said it was extremely or very important when considering whether to stay with their current employee. Okay. So on the other side of staying is going. So more than 50% are coming to the table and asking, what are the health benefits and do they support my family? Okay. Where I want to start off the conversation here, just from an understanding perspective, before I jump into the standards, is the legal industry standards that are important for you to be aware of so that you can march through and just have this clarity. Okay. You are legally required to provide health insurance at 50 employees and above. Okay. So that's just on a caveat. That's where the legal requirements come in. The IRS will monitor your health insurance for affordability. Okay, so what the IRS is making sure to do is that you're making your health insurance plans affordable to your employees. And what that looks like is they dictate a max allowance that you can charge your employee. Okay, so that affordability piece is a big factor in health insurance. The third legal component I want to call out is that it is regulated by both the federal and at the state level. Okay, so example here, IRS, federal, you go by the state level, it might dictate more specific rules or regulations or policies or practices or insurance or benefits that you need to have in place for your employees. So do pay attention to this if you are a multi state employer. Awesome. So those are the overarching legal components. So three areas that I know that standards matter the most. One being, does your benefits align with your company strategy? The second one being the percentage of the contribution. Okay, how much are you paying versus how much is the employee paying equals the percentage of contribution. And then also just standards around being in a individual policy versus a group policy. Okay, so let's dive into those. Number one being aligning your benefits with your company strategy. So, going to share this through some of examples. So, if your company strategy is to build trust, right? Trust is such an important part in the workplace because employees who entrust their employers do better work, they stay longer, right? All of those important things. So, if you're trying to focus on trust, what you want to do is pay attention to the start date of your benefits. Okay. Is it right when they come in, right? Is it the first of the month? Is it the third of the month? Is it never? Do they have to ask for it? So where in the hiring process does your benefits take place? Okay. The closer to hire date, the higher the trust the environment is, right? So if you're confident as an employee in your hiring practices and the people that you're choosing, health insurance kicking in right away is great. 3 months tends to be standard. But again, anything longer leaves a gap in insurance for the employee, and they're going to be stepping back and maybe second guessing your offer. The second component is if you have a business strategy, how long are you trying to retain people? So, for example, if your retention policies, you're trying to keep people within the company about 5 years, you want to make sure that your plans and your health insurance will cover people throughout their life that happens within 5 years. Okay, so if I'm coming in as a junior, as an individual, does your health insurance cover spouses? Does it become family? Do you handle maternity leave? These are all life events that happen to people within 5 years. So your plans cover them. Because when you're coming in, you look forward. Can I stay here? And one of the things that you might look at is that insurance component. Another example is transparency. So, if transparency is a company strategy or something that you're an advocate for, do you have a document contribution plan? So, in the offer stage, do you dictate what your health insurance looks like, what the contribution matches look like? Do you talk about who do I go to with questions and what happens if? Right. So, these are three areas to look at to see if your benefit strategy aligns with your company strategy. Second area where standards matter around the contribution. Okay, so how much will it cost me and me being the employer or the employee? So just so you know, like most states generally require a contribution of up to 50%. Okay, so I might say for me, that would be my recommendation of standard. If you don't have, can we afford to cover at least 50% of the premium? And then also know within that 50%, the standard is of the plan they choose. So if there are more options, it's always 50%. Another area is contribution. Are you going to cover vision or are you only covering medical? Okay, so that's a component there. And then the third piece is, what happens on the annual review, right? What's that foresight there? So if the cost goes up and my health insurance, am I going to have to cover that? So what does that contribution match and that standard look like that you're putting in place when you think through your strategy and people staying within the company? Because here, the company is not, as insurance goes up annually as it does your compensation align with the cost of the contribution match of health insurance align? Because if someone's not getting paid more, but their insurance costs up, then in theory, in their mind, they're making less money. So you want to make sure to think through these as a strategy, right? As you put it in place. And then what happens in the next, so 3 to 5 years, what does that look like? Okay. Third area that I'll cover through around standards that matter is individual versus the group. I explain this as is your policy DIY? Is it fully supported or is it a mix and somewhere in between? And what that looks like is individual plans, right? So that kind of being the DIY. So it's a do it yourself plan. Those are highly customizable. Okay. And they meet specific employee needs because I need health insurance. Aviva's going to the local market and I'm picking a policy that works for my needs and my wants and one that like will cover what I need. Okay. So this alternative to that on the flip side is the group plans. Those are great because they're standard benefits. So everybody gets the same three plans. Please choose. They're easier to manage and they're also cost effective because when you become in a group, the larger the group, the more of a discount that you get on the plans. So those are the components here. So what will you start with and when to explore the next option as your company grows? Okay, so that's like the big piece here, right? What I have seen and what I usually see is that companies will start with reimbursement. So you have a team of 5, you're hiring someone new and they're like, gosh, I need health insurance. Cool, no problem. I'll pay you a stipend of $400 every month. That'll cover your health insurance. That's great to get 1 or 2 hires in, but there's lack of accountability there because you're flat feeing and you're paying towards health insurance that you don't know if they have. Another alternative, and I'm not ranking them based off of what matters to you, but 2 other options. People go the PEO or the association route, and that is where you co-employ with another company, right? So said PEO, and they help you with your health insurance costs there. So usually you're going into a larger group and that brings the cost down. That could come on a flip side of you have to pay for the PEO as well. So it comes with a fee. And another option that I see people are doing is the health reimbursement agreements, right? So those are known as the HRA group. Okay. So Thank you so much for joining today in this little overview here. I walked you through just an understanding the importance of benefits and having benefits, right? So while maybe you're not legally required, you are losing out on awesome candidates because of it. Where the standards matter and where you can take a little peek in through your strategy to look at. And of course, why aligning them with your benefits and with your company strategy matters. That's all for now. See you next time. And I look forward to diving into a further conversation on the things that matter to you.